What's happening, everyone? We are back again. It is Monday, end of March, and things are looking good. Oh my gosh, are they ever looking good if you got an optimistic, rational mindset of these things? Won't they? Won't they always be something interesting to talk about or otherwise be grateful for? I think so. I think so. That's the approach I'm taking, at least. Welcome, everyone, to the show. If you're new here, I'm Max, host of the RHMax channel, rhmax.tv. Been promoting that as well. And got a lot to get into today. We got Crypto Kong, one of my favorite people to have on the show. Like to deep dive with him on various different topics, and one of them is going to be, the Ethereum SEC stuff, the relevance there with PulseChain. Going to get into PulseChain sentiment in general, and also talk about a few other topics in the ecosystem and fun things going on. So, anyways, I'll get to chat in just a minute. Before I get too much into it, though, we got a lot to cover. Welcome back to the show, Crypto Kong. How's it going, man?
What's going on? I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Just another beautiful day in Hexaco. Wouldn't have it any other way, man. Wouldn't have it any other way. How you doing?
Doing good. Yeah, I mean, sentiment's a little bit down as of recently, but I think the macro outlook for Pulse Chain's still looking good. Like lots of like I say this every single time, lots of the internal metrics are still looking extremely
Yes.
well. So
You were
I'm
correct
I'm
every time too.
yeah, and I'm excited to see sort of how these internal metrics start to increase and gradually grow over time. But yeah, watching the sort of the sentiment flip is a little bit funny. Like I'll see the Pulse Chain Telegram when the price goes down, we'll lose a whole bunch of members, and then when the price pumps again, like 10 or 15%, like it'll gain a whole bunch of members. Like we're talking like hundreds of people will leave, and then hundreds of people will join. So some people, yeah, I
Yeah.
think are they react a little bit emotionally, especially with the recency bias we have. Like price is still up from the bottom, right? Like we're still up like 3 or 4 x's, but since we're down from the top like maybe 40%, like it gets to people's heads a little bit. So
It doesn't feel that way. Exactly.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, it's the recency bias and stuff like this that gets to people. But I do think Pulse Chain is it's in its early stages, and we're gonna be sort of all the developers, everyone building, the whole community. We're all gonna be like here at the front line, sort of, because we've nothing like this has ever been done before, right? This is sort of brand new with the whole even like sacrifice, and then having the brand new L1, and then having sort of like all the developers come in and build on this chain. Like lots of other L1s, lots of other blockchains that do not have this many protocols and smart contracts and like things to do, and like thriving ecosystems all over. So Pulse Chain is actually it's looking very very good across the board. I'm like I said, sentiment's down as of recently, but even TVL still like past basically the old all-time highs from when we launched Pulse Chain. So still looks very good relatively speaking. And I don't even think that TVL accounts for everything. And there you go. Look at all those blockchains that we probably surpassed, like Chronos, like right there is like an older L1. I guess
Yep.
we have more TVL than them. So we're surpassing a lot of these.
Cardano,
Yeah, Cardano,
Gnosis,
Thor Chain. I think that's a newer one, but
Phantom,
Phantom. Yeah, so
Algorand. I've heard of Algorand for a long time.
yeah, Hedera. I always heard people talking about the what was it, the ICO 2022 protocol tokens or whatever. So but yeah, it looks like Pulse Chain has surpassed a lot of these tokens in TVL. So very interesting stuff, right? Like we haven't gone down to like maybe 150 million TVL. So I don't know why everyone's so worried and stuff like this. Like still plenty of money on the blockchain. Even if you're looking at the bridge, I saw the whale bots, all of their tweets going over 500K bridged out from Pulse Chain, 500K bridged out from Pulse Chain. It sounds like a lot of money, right? Like you'd much rather see like 500K bridged in than bridged out. But if you're looking at it in the grand scheme of things, like I want to say in the past 14 days or even 10 days, there's only been maybe $6 or $7 million bridged out of Pulse Chain. So that might sound like a lot, but we can see here, right? $135 million currently bridged into PulseChain. So if we're taking 6 million outflows, like it could just be some of the break even soy boys, some of the people just trying to exit out while they're I guess while their bags sort of appreciated a little bit. But I do think like you might miss out on some new capital coming in, because this is what we see usually after you have some of this poor sentiment, and after some of these outflows sort of occur, we usually see a big entity come in and pour a large amount of money through the bridge. So
there's big entities that seem to be benevolent and like this ecosystem. You've seen those around?
I think I've seen a few wallet addresses. I'm not too sure.
I just want to point out too, they added PXDC here, which is the Power City stablecoin. I'm surprised that almost as much, or not almost as much, but Power City earn where you could actually open the vaults and mint stablecoins from it. It's only been launched for a couple weeks, and Liquid Loan's been launched for, I want to say, a couple months at least. So to have 18 million USDL and have almost 12 million PXDC, that is really way more competitive than I thought it would be at this point, because it just launched. So that's pretty amazing to see that. So congrats to Power City on so far locking up 12 million and getting minted. That's a lot of PulseX getting locked up, and hopefully it's working out for people using the product that way.
And you guys could imagine, like, if the Pulse price does a 10x, how much more USDL and PXDC there would be on chain. And lots of these blockchains, like even if you think back like a few years ago, there wasn't even on-chain stablecoins to begin with. Like lots of these technologies, like they're relatively new when you're talking about like in the realm of cryptocurrency. So to have 20 million, almost $20 million of USDL and over 10 million, almost 12 million PXDC within just a few days or a few weeks of launch of these protocols, or a few months of launch of these protocols, is extremely good. Especially right now, like PulseX isn't even at SAC prices. Like I touched it for a little bit there, but it came back down. Yeah, there you go, like half a SAC right there. So we're not even
SAC.
Yeah, we're not even close to like I want to say like huge mad gains yet. Like PulseX is still done like what, over a 5x now at the current price from its bottom. But yeah, when we're talking about like when these prices do a 10x, the amount of PXDC and USDL that'll be on chain will be significant. And you guys could imagine like people minting these stable coins, they're essentially extracting value out. Not necessarily extracting value, but they're capturing that value of their assets, and without needing to sell it, right? So if you were to lock up and mint some PXDC with your PulseX, you're capturing some of that economic energy, and you're able to mint against your stack, and you don't have to go to any of the market makers to necessarily pull out any stable coins from your PulseX. So these are actually extremely bullish protocols. I personally I like to let things play out a little bit and make sure like there's no like major like smart contract risks or anything like that, because I think that's my biggest thing, is just like smart contract risk. But yeah, once these protocols stand the test of time, especially into this bull market, like I bet you're gonna have even a lot more vaults opening up for a lot more of these protocols. So
yeah, and it's pretty cool too. Like when the prices do go up and you open a vault on Liquid Loans or Power City, whatever, it's not like you have more to pay back. Your fixed amount stays that way. You just have more that you can extract from it and go make other plays, arbitrage again, advanced features, do your research before you do any of the yield arbitrage stuff or otherwise. But it's pretty cool in a way that you can extract more out, and so that's an option. Or you can pay it back and have all that. There's like a whole bunch of different functionalities. And then I had Jesse on the show. Anyone searched RHMax Power City, talked about all the different ways to use the earn protocol and staking and earn stable coins and earn redemption fees and PulseX and stuff like that. So yeah, I think hopefully things will go well with them, and again on the contracts and otherwise, and redemptions and liquidations and all that stuff work in people's favor. And I know they're definitely trying to make sure all that goes well. And 776 billion PulseX locked up in Power City, like almost $1 trillion, like that trillion number. If we may get there at some point, I don't know. April, is that another big thing happen in April? I keep talking about April the last few days. So many things happen in April. Maybe we get to $1 trillion locked PLSX in there. Never know.
I mean, yeah, at this rate, sort of like in the bull market and stuff like this, like I think it's definitely safe to say like it's bull market time, right? Like we've broken all-time highs on Bitcoin. This is, I think is what Sami calls it, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean the halving's coming up. Uh, it's funny speaking about like sentiment and stuff like this too. Like even with Bitcoin and stuff, I'll see the same sort of sentiment. Mostly like from retailers and stuff, but you'll have Bitcoin go to like 72, 73,000. Everyone's woohoo happy, and then it drops to 60, and then everyone's like, oh crap, like like what just happened? Like everyone's sad again, right? Bitcoin's still up, maybe 3 or 4x from its 15K bottom, to 60,000. But since it's not at 72,000, like people they get emotional about it and they get sad, right? And I'm sure you had some people trying to purchase and like get in at the exact top. Like that's exactly how it works. So I wouldn't be surprised if you had some people already capitulate those lows and think that the bull market's over. But it's actually funny because it's just getting started. And when you know the market cycles and stuff like this, the halving coming up in April, um, like I think we're getting primed to pump. Like you said that I think that was the title of one of your streams last time. But yeah, PulseChain is
With you, I
primed to
believe.
pump. Yeah,
Yeah.
with me. So yeah, PulseChain is primed to pump. Like I think after the halving and stuff, once you get more of the retail coming in, um, you'll start to see them find their way over to PulseChain. Especially like you can't really miss them on Twitter. Like if you complain about Ethereum gas fees on Twitter, there's maybe some hexagon somewhere that says PulseChain fix this in your thread. So I think at a certain point it'll become unavoidable, and especially like if ETH were to go to 8,000, and then you have like 100 Gwei, 200 Gwei, 300 Gwei, it'll like people aren't going to be happy like transacting on that blockchain. Like it's going to be disgusting unless they get some upgrades for it. And yeah, even if they get some upgrades for ETH, like it'll be great because I saw Richard tweeting like PulseChain can get all the upgrades too. So I mean, there you go. Like that's
Yeah.
also very bullish as well.
How do we like? We always win. That's the cool thing about it. Like people who, right? Oh, who's going to use the chain? Or you could talk about the chicken and egg problem. If we need green candles on board, but we need we can't onboard without green candles. So how do we do that? Bootstrap theories with the mega wells participating, all that stuff too. But if you think about fork of Ethereum, we get to pick and choose which features that we want to use for upgrades. Whatever they get cheaper faster. We get cheaper faster. We're already cheaper faster. We just get even more cheaper faster if they are able to do those kind of upgrades too. So I think it's again, I think a lot of this red candle stuff, a lot of this like, oh, just nervous. I wish I thought this was going to happen quicker. Some people had different timelines that they set, which may or may not be reasonable, or some of them are just you're down in your sack and you're like, maybe they didn't buy it, maybe they didn't DCA when PulseX was down 90%, that sort of stuff, and a lot of people couldn't, and that's just everyone has their own situation, but. I don't know how many, we talked about a lot on the show, all the different opportunities, how to make money in their market, where to find yield, the different products in the ecosystem, the different native products with Hex, of course, with the things you can do in the yield farms that I've been talking about. I feel like every week I do a yield farm stream and go through all that. And with PulseChain, you can be a validator. You can stake it just like you can ETH. Much, much cheaper, much more affordable. It's around 4K today. PulseX does a 10x price, it'd be 40K. It's a 100x price, it'd be 400K to be a validator on your own. That may price a lot of people out at that point and have to use other community solutions or otherwise. But just on you want to talk about the ETF as well, and I know Richard's done some commentary, and I'll pull up some of the threads. I got a few to go through, but Richard, I really like Ethereum. I think the price can go higher, and it's most likely the coin to get the ETF next. And then he starts talking about the Ethereum FUD and the different, the whole canary removed from the GitHub, which is interesting. And what is your take on the situation of Ethereum, the SEC doing SEC stuff, and what's going on this year?
So my sort of take on that is I do agree with Richard. I think the Ethereum ETF is likely the one to be most likely. I saw like I think what you'll have to see is potentially some of the institutions try and back, like not necessarily back, but try and back and like defend Ethereum or like any of the other assets, in terms of, like the ETF and stuff. Because I know like when you had like the Bitcoin ETF, you had BlackRock majorly pushing that and going against the SEC and filing against the SEC to sort of push out their ETFs and stuff like this. But I do think it's weird that the SEC is trying to like retarget Ethereum as a security now that it's proof of stake. I'm not sure how like proof of stake fits their definition any better than their proof of work chain does. Maybe now, since before you bought mining hardware to go and mine Ethereum coins, now you have to buy Ethereum coins to go and mine Ether or whatever. Maybe that's what they don't like about it or some. But I do think it is very interesting. But we'll see what happens with the ETF pass. I do think the Ethereum will get an ETF. There will probably be some sort of FUD that comes up around it, but I don't think the SEC doesn't even have that great of a track. I'm gonna just say standing their ground and actually like going through with not going through, but actually just winning in general. Like Gary Gensler is a habit of
You say
losing,
SECs are
so
not winners. They haven't won a lot recently, and we hope they continue not to do that on cases that don't need to be won on their side.
exactly. And I mean, we saw all these. Richard talked about it. Like all these cases will set a precedent. Ethereum, like that'll be huge for the ETH guys to like whatever the courts do to sort of look at that and see what happened with that with that court case. But it's interesting. Like I saw Nuclear Herb's tweets, and he was outlining a lot of the dates for PulseChain and going over basically what dates you guys should all be paying attention to. But it looks like this process it looks like it's going to be sort of long and drawn out a little. But it does look like we're going to get some action. Like if you scroll down to, I think it was August 22nd. Yeah, August 22nd. I believe, or maybe it was October 20. Yeah, October 24th. Oral arguments will be held on Richard's motions to dismiss before Judge Amon. This is a can't miss event, and I this is sort of when I was reading it, this is what I was picking up on it as well. Hopefully, one or more streamers in our community will also put this on their channel. Again, ask your lawyer if you're concerned about any of the potential risks, if you feel it is necessary. Again, I haven't heard of anyone who has done this before. Like recently, the Coinbase had one, and you had multiple people streaming it without suffering any consequences. Uh, he also says, I would not expect a ruling at the close of the oral argument. Judge Amon will almost certainly take the matter under advisement and issue a written ruling somewhere, his best guess around the 60 to 90-day mark.
So
So go
what you're
ahead.
saying is, we go up way high this year, and then for Christmas, Merry Christmas, everyone. SEC case dismissed, and then we go to the moon. That's what everyone wants to hear,
That's the potential. That's the potential.
right?
There actually is a chance for that, it looks like. So what makes me bullish on October 24th is its oral arguments, which means I don't know if that's going to be Richard speaking or his lawyer speaking, but either way, they're going to, I guess, be using their voices rather than just writing on pieces of paper. And I don't know if you guys like remember watching any of Richard's streams. Um, I will wait for him to come back, hopefully. But if you guys remember his streams, like he's a very good speaker, and he's good at getting the point across, and he's very good at developing these talking points. And what was it? Doesn't he have like a bar certificate or whatever? So
Rumored of that, yeah. I've heard that he did something around that. But dude, I never even thought of that. I could totally see he's already got an 11-person Chad legal team. Like it'd be funny if like he became the 12th man there, and he's like, let me start this off. Let me kick off the little conference we got here, and he does the keynote for the whole deal.
it's like
That would
Tony
be
Stark
unmissed.
in that movie.
Yes, yeah, dude. Oh man, that's Iron Man series. Great series. I'm watching Captain America right now. Just started watching Captain America again. Very good as well. But yeah, Richard would be Iron Man, aka Elon Musk as well. He does a cameo in the movies too. That would be a can't
Even
miss event.
Elon Musk went up against the SEC with the whole Dogecoin thing. I can't remember exactly what happened, but I don't think he got a fine, if I remember correctly.
Man, he's so many different things. Only what I
Yeah.
remember is he got. Only thing I remember him actually getting something substantial happening was when he tweeted about what was that, funding secured, and then he just he just couldn't be chairman anymore. Like they just removed him as chairman, and he could, but he still like could be CEO and own all the stock and all that stuff. He just couldn't be chairman because whatever. I guess they had to do something. They failed at least. I don't know. I don't know what happened with Dogecoin. I know there was some lawsuits or something, but yeah, apparently he's doing okay. So if Richard's the billionaire, multi-billionaire genius founder guy, seems like he has a chance, especially when you're going up against a case that we've already seen analyzed, and people have their opinions back and forth, but overall, the response to it is what made everyone super super bullish and kind of forget about it. It's been in the back seat for a while. We're just kind of like, hey, it's almost like it's like extra bullish. Like, okay, if this goes well, it's extra bullish. It's almost treated like that now.
So yeah, even I like how you brought up like Richard being like the 12th lawyer, because like crypto is very complex, right? And there's tons of nuances, and there's tons of ways you could sort of extrapolate or interpolate ideas depending on like your perspective and like how you frame it. You could frame things a million different ways depending, and you could probably argue it a million different ways. Like if you guys remember the stream on, I think it was New Year's or Christmas, Richard was talking about like holding your keys, and like the definitions around like that, like who actually holds your keys. Like if a hacker takes your keys, does he pay taxes on that as well? Like do you guys both own the seed phrase? Like how exactly does this work? Like do you own the seed phrase in the first place, or is it just like a piece of paper? Like is it just like the data interchanging on the blockchain and stuff like this? So he made up like these different points and stuff like this. Now what I do think is interesting about having a founder like Richard Hart is I'm sure his lawyers are good, but when it comes to like this crypto stuff, like it hasn't been around for 50 years. So none of these guys can have like, there's no chance any of them could have like 50 years of experience in crypto litigation, because like crypto litigation hasn't been around for that long. So I think it's great to have someone like Richard Hart sort of almost debating those lawyers, getting them like straight basically, getting them like all in tune with what's going on. And I'm sure he's bringing up talking points to his lawyers, and like they're consulting him back and like telling him like whatever, right? Like I'm not a lawyer or legal expert or anything like this, but I do think we're at a great advantage having like someone as smart as Richard, who's like rumored to have some like legal certifications, working with some of the top lawyers potentially in the country, to sort of get the case dismissed here. So that'll be interesting to sort of see how it plays out. But I'm extremely bullish on having Richard sort of on that frontier, because he's gonna be able to defend his project better than anyone. And if you combine his knowledge with like 11 or 12 other lawyers, then that to me is it's a very good recipe. So
A
yeah,
squad. We call that a squad. So good, man. So good. Yeah, I think that's a good point too. You brought up about Richard did a whole bunch of different posts that kind of got forgotten half the time because people were waiting for tell us when bullish information, Dev, instead of like talking about decentralization and talking about freedom of speech and all the different blockchain stuff. And yeah, a big point of that was there is no ownership. There's dominion over keys, which give you access and control, but there is no ownership of crypto. Like it's a very nuanced concept. So they try to apply all these rules and laws and stuff that when you take them literally, they make no sense. Yeah, we can get
yeah,
the spirit of them, but
yeah.
how much, again, which ones are for freedom, which ones are for the people, and which ones are just for control and don't apply. Like that's what we're currently trying to work out, I guess.
And I
But
actually do think a big reason, sort of, with this whole like SEC and crypto stuff was I think Hex gave a lot of power back to a lot of people. Like people were freed from Hex. Like I assume a lot of people were probably hurt from Hex as well. That's just how like every market, like people were hurt from Bitcoin, people got hurt from Ethereum. but I think a lot of people got freed from Hex, and like that's not necessarily what you want to see if you're trying to like operate a matrix or a system, and like you want to keep the machine running smoothly. And if you have like a portion of the machine like sort of like turn off and like just go offline and like no longer needed, like I don't need to work for the machine anymore because I can store my own value and make my and like store my own economic energy over here. I don't need to like necessarily take from like get paid from you anymore. Then that could be an issue, right? So trying to like
Yeah.
shut things like this down like is sort of a big deal for like powerful people, I guess you could say.
I think there's even a different way to look at it as far as, so because you mentioned, being, hurt by Hex or Bitcoin or Ethereum, whatever. I think an interesting way to look at it too is it's not as if these protocols failed. So if they don't, it's not like in the real world, I was hurt by, some person, does something negative against you. And yeah, maybe that is like a failure, right? There's a failure of like civility or whatever it is that causes you harm in some way. But in crypto, with any crypto, whether it be Hex or again, Bitcoin, Ethereum, anything, I think a better way of thinking about it, or a more interesting way, is again, without the protocol failing or without some like actual rug happening, like let's put that to the side. I don't think a crypto can fail you unless it literally fits one of those. Either like it's completely rugged, so there's no fair shot at succeeding whatsoever, or the protocol fails and it's same result. Like it just everything just collapses and it goes bankrupt in that sort of way, in that kind of mind frame. So the only failure I can see is failure of judgment, because you're pressing all the keys. You're buying it high and watching it go down. You're waiting on it for it to go back up after 3 years if you bought it high like that. And that's not the natural way to look at that. It's not the natural human response. Is no, I need something to blame. Somebody's got to be accountable, and I don't feel like it being me today, so it's got to be that. And now, especially, again, if you bought Hex high or whatever, you've been waiting a long time. You thought PulseChain was going to change everything, and maybe it will. Jury's not out, right? So it's almost like this. And then you see it. We'll get into this in a bit too. Like you see everything else, not everything else, but you see a lot of other things going up and doing all these things. You're like, hey, I've been waiting. I've been doing the right thing. I hung in there. When am I going to get rewarded? Sort of thing. But it's not the Hex failed anyone. I propose. It's not the Hex failed anyone or PulseChain failed anyone. It's that either the thing you signed up for isn't meeting the expectations that you yourself created. No one else created them but you, right? You press the buttons, you decide to send your money somewhere, and you decided when you thought it was reasonable to get it back, whether that meets reality or not. So it's not the failure of the coins or the protocols or the cryptos. It's the judgment call that happens to be either good or bad. And it's hard to even judge that, because again, there hasn't been enough time. Like, what is the time period where then you just call it? You're like, all right, is it 1 year? Is it 2 years? Is it 5 years? When do you call it and be like, that was a bad call. I shouldn't have sacrificed, or I shouldn't have bought it at that price because it wasn't rewarding. I didn't get a price appreciation I was looking for. Or do you just call it and get yourself, hey, I made a mistake. Hex is 1 cent. I bought it 40 cents. Hex is at 1 cent now. I'm getting out now. But then if you do that, you're calling it. But again, that doesn't really match reality either, because now you're making another judgment call. That decision too. If you buy high, wait 2 or 3 years, sell low, get out, and if it goes back up, that's another. Like, so who's failing who at this point? Like, it's not the protocols failing. It's not the founders rugging. It's just the decisions that are being made, either profitable or not profitable. So I think that's an interesting way of looking at it too. That I think it's helpful, especially in this space.
That is a very good point, and you're absolutely correct. Like Hex and PulseChain and PulseX, like one of the Hex's biggest talking points was 100% uptime for 1,500 plus days, right? So Hex hasn't failed. Like I guess you could say like some users may potentially made some wrong decisions potentially, depending on which time frame you're looking at, depending on like if you decided to buy near the top and realize that loss near the bottom, then like maybe you made a mistake and maybe the price like reverses and like goes back to where you purchased, things like this. But I think you're absolutely correct. Like PulseChain, Hex, and PulseX, and pretty much all the core RH tokens, tickers, none of them have failed. They all still exist. They're all like Hex is immutable, right? So it doesn't change. It will stay on the Ethereum blockchain and on the PulseChain blockchain forever. Like it'll always exist, right? And that's another way of looking at it too, is like in which time frame. So I know a lot of people got like maybe they overexposed themselves in the sacrifice, and like maybe it was into the PulseX sacrifice. So and maybe you got like a worse rate than what you could have like originally gotten on the first day or something like this. So maybe you're down a little bit on the sacrifice, but if you haven't realized those losses, then like, and if you're still a believer, and if you still think like the project can go somewhere, then you haven't really lost anything, and like you haven't necessarily failed at all. Like I think like you're actually doing quite the opposite, and you're almost succeeding because you have your conviction, assuming that you sacrifice and you're still here and you're still a believer, and you have your conviction and you have your token still. So those are pretty much the only two things you need to, like, I think, be successful in crypto, is just as long as you have conviction into like your core tokens, whether that's maybe Bitcoin and Ethereum for some people, maybe that's Hex, PulseChain, and PulseX for other people. But as long as you have like basically max conviction in your core tickers, then I think you'll become successful in crypto, because you won't get shaken out the markets when they turn around, and you'll actually see the value, and you'll see where sort of the stuff is going, like how we're talking about in April, Bitcoin halving, PulseChain projected 1 million plus wallet addresses, was active wallet addresses,
Active
stuff like
wallets,
this.
yeah.
So once you see sort of these metrics flip over, I wouldn't be surprised if we start to see some pumps and stuff like this. But yeah, like nothing's failed. Nothing's failed, right? Everything's still here. It still exists. Like your coins are still there. And I think just to be successful in crypto, like if you just take your conviction and your coins and you wait, like if you have a long enough time frame, I think how it works in like crypto people are, I think, really bad for this is they'll plant a tree and then the very next day they'll just start staring at it and they'll say, why hasn't it grown yet? Like, well, why don't I have any apples?
Screw this tree. I'm going to go buy another piece of land. Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe the piece of land is flawed now. Let me go get a different one. So
Yeah.
yeah, instead of just going off like enjoying your life, like sitting by the beach and then coming back later and like, oh, look at this tree, like grew like 100 million% or whatever, like from where we were last time. People, like, they will sit there and observe all day. Like that's what checking your portfolio is. Like if you're constantly refreshing your portfolio 15, 20, 50 times a day, how much money are you at right now? What's the value at currently? If you're always doing that, you're planting a tree and you're literally watching it grow in real time. So
Yeah.
good
And
things.
going to yell at the guy who sold you the seeds. The seeds are defective now. It's like, there's always something, right?
It was funny, like on Lich stream, there was someone who brought an analogy, like you go to McDonald's, you buy a burger, and then you take the burger home, you eat the burger, and you're happy, right? You have your burger, and no longer your $20 or however much, right? You don't go up to the McDonald's counter and then ask them, "Hey, by the way, what are you doing with my $20?" You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It's important to me that I know where this money is going before I make this purchase. And after I make the purchase, I need to know. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think people. It sounds weird, but I think people sort of just need to chill out, sort of just like pack their bags, make sure their bags are packed. Like right now, like this is, I would say, a great time to start DCN. Like not a financial advice or anything, but if you don't want to be purchasing the tops of the green candles, then you can be buying through the poor sentiment. And like we were saying in April, like Bitcoin halving projected 1+ million active wallets, and there was one other statistic on that page I'm forgetting off the top of my head.
50-week shakeout as one.
50-week shakeout, that's the big one I was forgetting.
Yeah. I mean, that could be, even now everyone's guessing, like, did he mean 50 weeks? Was it 52? Where's the starting part for 50 weeks? Everyone's already like kind of nervous about that. Is that going to play out too? Is that even, relevant? People are questioning. I mean, why not? I think it's as, everything's got legs to it if you can connect the dots. And again, you could just connect the dots out of nothing too. But I don't know. I think April's going to be exciting for various reasons, whether, we go to the moon or not. I think too many things. I don't know what it is. Like I hate using intuition, but at the same time, it just has this feeling of like, man, April either I know I want it to be a special month, but also there's a lot of things that make it seem that way too. But anyways, I want to just wrap up on this too. The nuance for EHEX and PX. I hear a lot of people, I never hear anyone talking about this, but usually you see like, okay, it's not even worth it to end the stake anymore with EHEX, for example. Well, that's at current prices. Like what if, again, even Richard talked about, again, he said he doesn't care about Ethereum, Hex on Ethereum, and he's want everything going to PulseChain, all that stuff that we talked about. But he's also said, what if Ethereum goes up, or what if EHEX goes up with everything else over time? So the in-stake fee that you pay right now may be worth more than the Hex you would get back. But if you let that bleed out, for example, what if EHEX goes up 10? Like, what if, PulseChain Hex goes up 100x, for example, and EHEX goes up 10 or 20 or 30 or 50x, whatever, and it's worth way more, but you let it bleed out because you didn't want to pay the $100 gas fee, and now you could have had that Hex, but now it's all gone to the people who, are staking and stuff. So there's some interesting points to be made there that, letting stuff bleed out or not, that's not exactly relevant to new stakes and stuff. Again, I think pooled staking is going to be more popular in Ethereum than PulseChain right now, just because of gas fee stuff. But at the same time, if you're not ending a stake because you don't pay the gas fee because the Hex isn't worth that much, well, is the Hex worth $1, or is the Hex worth $98 and the gas fee is $100? And was the Hex going to be worth in the future? I don't think I'm not writing off EX in that way yet. So I think that's a point that's, often goes unheard.
I think another thing another thing that really helps, that really could help some people in crypto is just picking a strategy and then sticking to it. So if you were like, I'm going to stake Hex, and maybe you created a ladder, maybe you didn't create a ladder, or maybe you just created 1 year stake or 2 year stake or whatever it was, whatever your original plan was, stick with it, right? Don't switch up because of the price chart. Like the Hex code didn't change, right? It's still the exact same code you interacted with. The Ethereum code changed from proof of work to proof of stake, depending on when you started your stake and stuff like this.
Security.
But yeah. Hex is all the same. So sticking to your original plan, sticking to your original strategy of, let's say you're going to stake some Hex and then unstake it after, that would obviously make sense. You wouldn't plan to leave it in there unless that was your strategy for some reason, to stake Hex and let it bleed out. I don't know what the strategy is behind that, but
some 70 chess there, man.
Yeah, like 8D chess maybe, but yeah, sticking to your strategy. If you had originally purchased Hex at whatever price and you staked it, and now you go to unstake and the gas fees are too ridiculous, potentially like what we've seen it in the past, like KDP had the best tweet, basically like you don't want to bet against the founder who's in it for glory and previous best performing assets. Like Hex, it did a 50x over Ethereum. So I'm not saying we do a 50x over Ethereum this time around, but potentially if you pay that unstake fee, especially if it's a relatively big size little chunk of Hex, like maybe it is just through like the liquidity pools, and like I wouldn't be surprised if some degens bring back eHex and just pump it just to make the chart like pump. And like even into the bull market, like I wouldn't be surprised if you see eHex pump, but yeah, I think just sticking to your plan that you originally set, and even now that Richard said all these things about 64D chess, all these things that Richard said now, like eHex is incredibly risky, so maybe it's not the best thing to go ahead and like buy and stake it now. Like that's definitely not the play. But if you already have some, potentially it's worth unstaking, maybe bridging it over to PulseChain and leaving it there. Even Crypto Coffee like posted some good yield farms on his Twitter. That if that's what if that's what some of the people here are interested in, like you can make some fees. You can make some fees with the eHex now over on PulseChain, and it doesn't cost you an insane amount of gas to do all the transactions. So
that is an interesting way that people may find utility for Hex outside of staking, outside of pooled staking, for example, in Ethereum, is using it for LP. And again, the more that's paired to PulseChain assets, the more of them that if those go up, again, Hart's Law could pull them up as well. So it'll be interesting. I think the this bull run for EHEX, well, the people who are paying attention to it and have skin in the game, for example, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I don't want to go through this entire thread. It's really good though, because we don't have time today, but this is good from Paul Grahl or something like that, this CLO, the chief legal officer at Coinbase, of why, Ethereum is not a security commodity. He goes through very concise, leaves all these references, different case studies, different reasons why, the Howey test, a lot of stuff that's actually interesting for Hex and PulseChain and stuff too. And again, that's like the big point of a lot of the overlap here is if they start saying POS is security, and why the PulseChain case of, may have a lot of relevance and stuff with Ethereum too, and why the Ethereum people should be cheering on, everyone in crypto should be cheering on everyone else who's obviously not a bad actor to win their cases. And because the opposite, the other side of that, losing the cases and setting bad precedents, which could affect your products in the future, whether you like PulseChain or like Hex or whatever. These things, the cases, the wins we get here could help you get future wins and could hurt your future win status as well. So I think everyone should be supportive. Again, it doesn't matter if you like Richard, doesn't matter if you believe in the good stuff he wants to do or not. Doesn't matter how well you like his twerking. His ability to disseminate information and talk about the ideals that are foundational, freedom to transact, freedom to movement, freedom, all this stuff. The core ideals and principles are sound and good and are probably what you agree with. And that's what if you're not seeing that, here's the time to see it. Here's the time to get informed. And because it could affect your bags as well outside the ecosystem.
Yeah, even like I'm not the biggest Ripple fan or anything like this. Like I don't really support that kind of stuff, but I do support them in their case against the FCC, and I do
Absolutely.
think they're fighting the fight, and they're doing a good job out there, basically just trying to maybe potentially give power back to the people, right? But I think it's supporting basically any sort of crypto project, and like you were saying, like you don't have to like Richard, you don't have to like PulseChain, you don't have to like Hex, but just supporting the movement sort of against the SEC to set the good precedents for the future, so all these other crypto platforms have something to go off of. It's like in every sort of system you're gonna have bad actors. Like even in PulseChain you probably have bad actors, and all of crypto you have bad actors. I think the SEC is trying to like stop that, but I don't know why they're targeting specifically Richard with some of these things. I think we could probably guess why with some of the outrage marketing and some of the stuff, and like some of the stuff that was posted online and stuff like this. But
trade-offs, definitely trade-offs.
Yeah, definitely trade-offs, but I think it's definitely like support the crypto community as a whole, basically, and like anyone fighting against like the big fight against the SEC and like the big superpowers and like the America's institutions and stuff like this, like that's important stuff. And like even the amicus briefs, Crypto Coffee had a great post on the amicus briefs. It's becoming time's running out. So if you guys, like, even if you give it to your family and stuff like this and like let them sign it, pulsepetition.org.
I went to my thread. I recently reposted because it's been a while, and Pulse Petitions is what Kong's talking about.
Definitely. So yeah, like if you guys haven't done pulsepetition.org, definitely do the amicus brief. Yeah, it doesn't take that much time. You just fill out a couple of the different data points. You can also send this to your friends and family and get them to sign it and stuff like this as well, and like just be like, hey, this would like help me a lot. Like if you're able to sign this, like it's just like protecting like core blockchain values like freedom of speech and stuff like this. And yeah, just send it around to like some of your friends and families and like get as many people in on it, because I think I remember hearing XRP had an amicus brief, and the judges, and I don't quote me on the XRP, maybe it was something else, but the judges really, XRP. I think it was, but the XRP really, the judge really took the XRP amicus brief into consideration when looking at the filings and stuff like this. So, I mean, it's actually like if you guys want to contribute, and if you guys sort of, I think yeah, if you guys just want to contribute, if you want to sort of put in some work as well and like sort of get the message out, and the more people the better, right? So we'll sort of see what we'll see what happens with how many people end up signing the Pulse petition, but definitely it'll definitely have an impact is what I'm trying to say. Like it's not just some random nothing burger that doesn't mean anything. So
Yeah, we got
definitely.
almost 44,000 signatures. It'd be nice to have 50K. That sounds like a nice round number, but I don't know. I mean, I think we got more than enough at this point, but I mean, I certainly hope that we can. It would be cool to get 50K, and like that's just like a nice marketing branding. Like, hey, 50K people said you're killing our bags for no reason. So stop doing that, please.
And I know I think the window might be closed now, but I remember Richard had some of the different filings for some of the different like SEC letters. Like you could just email the SEC letter for whatever. I'm not sure if that's still. I don't think that's going on anymore, right? That closed a long time ago, if I remember
Yeah, there
correctly.
was a few that were happening over time, and they had windows. And I believe that those ones closed. I think
Yeah.
what he was referring to in this tweet was the different, I guess, asking, do people have them ready for all these different cases?
Yeah.
Or these are cases that already have them because it says amicus. So apparently these are, I guess we just searched like SEC versus Coinbase amicus. It would probably come up. These sound like they already have ones, but I guess maybe you could sign them. Let's see, 6 amicus briefs were filed in support of Coinbase pertaining to a lawsuit filed by the SEC. It's so weird. Every time I see SEC going after Coinbase, I'm like, guys, Brian Armstrong, super high character, trying to do the right thing, whether you agree with him or not, with centralization, whatever. He is like that company. Try everything I've heard him, every interview I've heard, and everything I've seen him do. He's trying to like maximize crypto. He's trying to like help fight for freedoms in a lot of different ways. So it's every time I think that's the smoking out of anything else. If you have any inkling that SEC is going after the right people, you have to look at them going after Coinbase and be like, okay, if you're going after Coinbase, I mean, it's like the DOJ going after like, and again, this I guess not the best example, but like Microsoft, and then going after Amazon, and it's just like what company, these companies provide all this different value, help all these different people. Yes, they have criticism. Yes, they're not perfect, all this stuff, but they've created so much value, and you're going after them for what? It makes it look like a joke when you go after Coinbase and stuff in these cases.
I know Brian Armstrong. I was watching some of his. I can't remember which podcast, but I was watching some of the podcasts
All in
with him,
podcasts.
and it might have been what's his name? Can't remember.
Chamath Palihapitiya.
Lex Friedman, is that
Oh,
right?
Lex. He probably was interviewed by Lex Friedman, I would say. Yeah.
So yeah, I think I was watching the interview between those two guys, and
Yeah.
he was talking about how hard he tries to sort of fit his company through the regulations and follow as many of them as possible and make everything work and like have it all like good and all set in order, right? And they'll try and go back and forth with the SEC. And I think the SEC goes out of their way to try and make it as difficult as possible to follow the rules. And I think the rule guidelines, like there isn't even one to begin with. And sometimes they just spawn in rules, like spawn in a rule book and then say, oh, you're breaking it right here, right now, doing this thing right here.
Yeah.
So things like this. But what I have seen from Brian is he is really trying his very best to follow as many regulations as possible. Like I don't think he necessarily cares what the regulations are. He just wants to know what they are in general. Like what are the regulations? Because I think that's the issue here is like it's such a gray area and you can just make up definitions potentially. And like the SEC they're just trying to poke holes in the Coinbase boat, right? So not necessarily cool. But yeah, from what I do understand is Brian Armstrong is trying his very best to fit himself through the regulatory process, but the SEC is trying to make that as difficult as possible for him. So super weird.
I just wanted to see if you could spot the highest returning assets in this list.
Uh, Not too sure. I wonder which one it would be, right?
Maybe the Bitcoin
The
up
Bitcoin.
50%.
Yeah.
Wow. Look at this. I mean, even if you're like, oh, it dropped so hard, it sucks so bad. 3 times, 3 years, it has went down. According to this, the total returns have went down. Yeah, at 3 times to mess it up. I guess is one way of saying it. I'm not 100% on that. I'm just saying in general. The way of looking at it is, look at these incredible numbers. Look at the cumulative numbers and the annualized numbers, and then look at everything else. You could have bought the NASDAQ, could have bought, we got REITs here, stocks, bonds, gold, cash, of course, commodity, like just different stuff. Bitcoin, clear winner. I don't know who's betting against it at this point.
And I think that's one of the worrisome things with like the SEC and stuff. Like Hex is supposed to be a Bitcoin. It's supposed to be the better Bitcoin. It's supposed to be modeled after Bitcoin. It's supposed to do the same gains as Bitcoin, right? That's one of the narratives, is it's supposed to match or outperform what Bitcoin did. So if we're looking at this chart and we're seeing those cumulative and annualized gains that high, imagine if that narrative follows through and if Hex starts to outperform whatever Bitcoin did, like you're gonna see massive like red years, like 3 up, 1 down. That's sort of, I think, where we're at with Hex as well. Maybe we've had maybe potentially 2 red years with 2022 and 2023 with eHex, but I think macro wise, everything's still looking up. So it's just a time thing, I think, and it's just the longer you wait, the more things will naturally progress, right? The more weekends will naturally get shaken out. And back to that, like 50 weeks to shake out the weekends. I don't know if that's sort of an exact figure or an exact like let's do 50 weeks and then the exact minute. It's like saying like this tree will take approximately 2 weeks to sprout, and then you come back in 2 weeks and you're like, well, where is it, right? It's been exactly however many hours is in 2 weeks, right? So
2 more weeks, 50 to 52 weeks.
So I think like if people sort of 50 plus 2 more months, yeah. So I think if it's sort of a gauge to sort of gauge like the natural progression of time and sort of like how things will happen, like we're talking about with planting the tree, like it might take 50 weeks for that sort of to, by the time you check back and look on it, like 50 weeks later, you might have some progression, right? It might not be like exactly like 50 weeks for every single tree, might look a little bit different, but you will see some sort of natural progression. And I think that's what Richard means by the 50 plus 2 month shakeout. But yeah, just like a approximate time frame. Like I wouldn't take it to heart if like as soon as that 52 or 50th week happens, that green candles in, like if they don't instantly start to appear, I wouldn't get like distraught from that or anything. I would just realize that like the rinsing process is just like a natural thing that happens, and it's just sort of taking time. And I think Richard's also just killing time. I think he's just waiting to get on stream. Like let's get as many weak hands out. Like let's get as many believers in, and then as soon as I go on stream, like it's game on. Like it is game on. So,
dude, that's another pure complete speculation. Richard streaming in April. Gosh, best month ever. If that happens, best month ever. Best kickoff to the best year ever it could be as well. Who knows if any of this stuff's going to happen except the Bitcoin happening. It's the only for sure thing.
And I do wonder when or if Richard's gonna stream, or if he's talked about to his lawyers about streaming. I guess he did do the stream on New Year's, or the little call, I guess you could say. I don't know what. I guess
he did videos, he did audio. I mean, he tweets. I don't know. Maybe he turns live chat off for streaming. Maybe that's the biggest difference. But I don't know why he couldn't stream at this point, considering all the other content he's created. What's the difference in that and streaming?
Right, and even with his Twitter and stuff, I've seen people like say that it's not him running it, and it's someone else. I'm not too sure about that. Like,
I think he tweets his own tweets.
I think he tweets his own tweets. Like some of them, like some of them will throw me off. Like I'll try and like read it in the context of this is not Richard, but some of the things is like this has to be like who else would say this? Like who's thinking of this besides Richard Hart? So, yeah, I do think it is still Richard tweeting. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see when he gets back on stream. I wonder if it's part of his little plan, if he's just like he's obviously working in the background. He's getting stuff ready, but I wonder if this is part of his like 4D chess in a way. So
Definitely. I mean, I think everything he does is deliberate. And so why would he be deliberately not streaming and like have a plan of when to, come back to connect with the audience? I mean, that's the biggest thing about, like, you could ask the question, why is streaming such a big deal? And a lot of people would take the position, well, we don't need Richard to stream because, Hex works the way it is. PulseChain works the way it is. We got validators running the network. We got the devs doing the dev stuff. Why do we need the spokesperson to come and talk to people? And I think you could make the counter that, well, what about every other, what's the word? Enigmatic? Let's go with eccentric. Let's go to enigmatic, the, infamous founder like Elon Musk, like, Mark Zuckerberg does podcasts with Lex Friedman and stuff too. Any other high profile person in their industry that has a large audience and people who trust in them for on their own degree, however they want to, they can either not or do it. Has nothing to do with the person itself. A lot of people trust Elon Musk to do the right thing. He ain't promised anyone anything, right? So a lot of people like to see that. It gets them motivated. It builds trust back if they've lost it. And it's just a whole breath of fresh air for the ecosystem to be like, hey, this guy, yeah, he tweets, he creates videos, but this guy's on stage, bringing people's heroes there to die again, or being humble half the time, like whatever he wants to do, whatever style he comes back with. I think it's only bullish. So I think this year, I think it'd be unreasonable that we wouldn't have a lot of bullish events happen, such as that. I think it's unreasonable to make the counter argument. It's like, why not? Why wouldn't we? How long is the 60 chess plan going to go on for? Is it going to go on for another year, another 2 years, or another month? Like, nobody knows, but I don't know. I feel like we're getting up on the year birthday. We're getting a lot of things resolved, and we're getting a lot of responses to stuff, and the ecosystem has woken up. I think January moves and stuff have woken the ecosystem up and said, hey, guys, don't forget who's here. Don't forget who loves you. Don't forget these whales. These whales love you. We're gonna buy some coins. We're gonna bridge. We're gonna, God whales back on Twitter momentarily from time to time. We got a lot of other whales who I think wish our ecosystem well, no pun intended. So yeah, I just want to, I know we'll wrap up in a few minutes, but I want to connect this point too, because you talked about a little bit about, we were talking about meme coins before, and some different things you're seeing in the ecosystem around that, and the different response perhaps to the core coins being down and all that stuff too. Yeah, what do you think is interesting going on in the ecosystem around that?
yeah, I've seen a couple. I think a lot of us have seen a lot of different meme coins pop up on Dextruner, like what was it, the DWB and the actually token. Both I think both of those came out recently here, and like sort of been popping off. I think one of the things with meme coins, like I think what was happening was you had Solana pop off, and you had a ton of meme coins on Solana like go to $1 billion valuations and get listed on exchanges within like weeks and stuff like this. And when you're over here on the Pulse chain, maybe we don't have as many exchange listings. Maybe we don't have as many meme coins with as much market cap. Like people feel like they're missing out on the gains. So I think that's why some of these meme coins got launched, and why you have some of the meme coin culture here on Pulse Chain as well. But I do think a lot of these meme coins are I think they're quite net positive for the chain overall. Like if you look at some of the most popular blockchains out there, like I just to name a few, like Solana and Ethereum, two like of probably the most popular L1s right now. They both have their thriving meme ecosystem, right? Like Ethereum had Shiba Inu last cycle, popped off, did a ton of gains. I think that brought a bunch of value to the network. Not that like Ethereum like it doesn't need meme coins to be successful or anything like this, but I think it definitely amplifies your success if you have like a insanely huge meme coin that pops off. And then recently, like you have like more memes like Pepe kind of pop off, and like Solana, you had like a bunch of memes over there. So I think Pulse Chain, how it's sort of playing out is I think we're getting our own little meme ecosystem. And I was telling people this, like, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these memes actually bring in some new onboards and stuff like this, because when you're looking at things like Hex, you have to be a somewhat advanced DeFi user to actually get the understanding and staking of Hex, and to actually sort of pick up on things like this. So, like, to understand T-shares, you have to do homework, is what I'm trying to say. But to understand a meme coin, most of it is just like funny, like it's just supposed to be funny, and then the whole objective is number go up. So for a lot of people, that's easier to understand than Hex and T-shares. So I think that's another thing too about people, like when they get into something, they want to feel like they fully understand it, and most people can fully understand number go up and funny meme. So I think that'll bring a lot of adoption over here to the Pulse chain as well. And like even if people are just wanting to sort of throw darts and gamble on meme coins, imagine if you had imagine you had people like normies, like how some of us, like we might go deposit some money onto a wallet, go over onto Solana, and play with some meme coins, for example. Imagine you had people doing this exact same sort of thing but with Pulse chain, right? So getting some Pulse chain, putting it in their wallet, and then playing around with meme coins on Pulse chain, right? And then doing the transactions over here, paying the validators, contributing to the volume and stuff like this. So yeah, things like this I think are super interesting. But another thing too, with like the sentiment and the prices being down on the core coins, I think that is another reason why some of these meme coins are launching. Is you're just sort of, people get bored, right? And like they have the recency bias, and like they want to plant a tree and then instantly watch it grow. And with some of these meme coins, you can literally just look at the deck screener and watch the chart just like print candles, and people, like they'll get their dopamine hits from that sort of stuff. So I think that's another reason why some of the meme coins have popped off on Pulse Chain here right now, like as the prices are down. But I do think it is a cool little bit of culture. At first, I thought like all the meme coins were like 100% all distractions. Um, I think majority of them are like distractions in a sense to sort of like, just like get you distracted in a sense, and like take some of your liquidity away from you.
Taking
But
mind share. That's one way.
yeah, yeah. Um, but I do think like there'd be way less people interested in meme coins if Hex was in the process of doing another 10,000x. Like you'd probably have way less people like wanting to purchase this meme coin, because like why would I do that? Like it seems risky when this Hex token's just going up and to the right forever and stuff like this. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's tons of different ways to sort of look at it, but I do think we're having a little meme cycle on Pulse Chain, and I think the reason why is like people are getting slightly bored with some of the recent like sentiment and some of the recent prices with Pulse Chain and PulseX, and like
I'm just
people
tired of
they want
waiting.
to, yeah, they want to see the quick price action, right? They want the volatility like up front, right there. So yeah, and I mean there's a game for everyone, and I think just having those opportunities on Pulse Chain for people, like whether you want to do yield farming, or you want to do degen hunting, or you want to do like PXDC, like lending and borrowing, right? Whatever you want to do, I think we should have like something for everyone on Pulse Chain. So at least there's that sort of narrative to sort of fit into as well.
Yeah, I mean, I try to be really fair for meme coins, because again, I try to look at it from first principles, objective thinking. Even though I'm not interested, generally speaking, in meme coins or NFTs for that matter, I'm not meme coin max. I'm not NFT max. I really like things that have utility. I like our core coins. I like what they offer, whether I'm supporting them, whether the price is up or price is down. I think they're even more interesting in certain ways when price is down. Of course, locking up t-shirts, all that stuff. But yeah, I definitely think it's a lot of these came from a response to being like, look, I bought Hex. I'm down a lot. I'm tired of waiting. This guy is just twerking. I'm not, I don't want to be at the mercy of some other thing. There's these sub communities starting up. These people seem to care about me. These all these things happen, and you get new coins and you get new games to play, and some are better and some are worse. So even though I'm generally not interested, I can certainly make a case for the value. I can certainly, I mean, even Richard and I I've never seen him do a thread on talking about the different stuff that's on PulseChain that apparently he thinks has some sort of value. He mentions meme coins, borrowing, margin trading, stuff like that. And he's given shout outs to the PH and also liquid loans in the community projects before, other things I've never seen him do before. So I think he can see the value too. However, again, if I'm going to be fair, I think it is a response to being bored, and it's not. And part of it is, I mean, again, you could say that, okay, some people just want to create their own tokens and play their own different games, and to each their own. But also think that real yield, the whole real yield narrative where, you're earning, you're not earning the same token, so it can't be dumped. Like that's what everybody thinks in the bear market. People are just earning more hex and just dumping it all the time because, bear market, whether that's true or not is a different story. But the whole real yield, earning ETH or earning PLS or earning some other token, I think a lot of that spawned from people being tired of the yield being sold, or at least the narrative thereof. Just like the Bitcoin miners selling what they mine for electricity. You could make a lot of analogies for that too. So yeah, I don't think if people were up 50x, 100x or so on with Pulse or Hex or otherwise, I'm not sure the prospect of going hard into, other meme coins would be so interesting. But I think there's a critical piece here that I think is worth being aware of when this stuff happens. And so whatever coins and narratives that you buy, just be aware of what led you there and what you're looking for. So the values and the healthy games and the non-zero sum attitude is why I like Hex. I haven't seen another product like it. And I'm not worried about taking profits in the future. I'm not worried about it going to zero. I'm not worried about getting rugged. None of that stuff. It's always going to pay on time. It's always going to keep things straight with the Truth Engine. All the products built upon it, all the leverage plays with Maximus Hedron, all that stuff too. Those are healthy, optimized towards at least like aspirational, non-zero sum games that I like to play. So I don't see anything wrong with buying meme coins per se. I like the, Somi's been popularizing the 90% core, 10% lottery type thing. But I'm into Hex and its mission and those values. And that's what I want to promote. It and a few other, projects I think are healthy, positive feedback loops or provide utility for the ecosystem. And again, whether the price is mooning or whether it's not so popular and people find a reason to be frustrated or otherwise. So like being a distraction is one thing, but I think consistency pays off. And again, I'm going to spend most of my time and energy on the core stuff. And I wouldn't support stuff that tries to like push fun and friendly. Again, I love memes. Like you look at my channel or look at my Twitter. I like putting up memes. I like, I got a lot of RH memes and Hex stuff and otherwise. Like I think to be careful, it doesn't turn into this mind virus type of thing, or this addiction like gambling, where you're like, I can't win any other way. I am desperate. I need to put it all in on this. I need to go, roulette type of stuff. Coin. Exactly. Because that's not, there's plenty of other products that have millions of dollars of TVL locked up. It's the stuff we talked about earlier today, all the different protocols and, platforms and things that have tokens otherwise. Like when you start going from like selling all of your stuff just to promote meme coins and stuff, that's what I hope this ecosystem doesn't go. It doesn't go full into, I'm giving up on core and I'm just going to go play the quickest game I can to get rich. That's what I don't want to see it go into that direction. I'm not saying it is, but also you can see signs of like, okay, people are tired of waiting. They're going to start buying other products. They're going to start promoting other things. And I just hope that, I hope they don't get, wrecked in the meantime. I wish them well, whatever coin they buy, they don't have to be in PulseChain, whatever coin they buy. I wish them the best. I hope they get mad gains, whatever coin. If you buy XRP or Solana or whatever, like wish you the maddest gains. Like I want you to go live your dreams, do whatever you want to do. I just don't want this. I don't want to promote this culture of like going all in because, hey, this is the quickest way to get rich type of thing. That's not what the core values are of this ecosystem. And I try to remember that and promote it and stuff. And again, if anyone doesn't like your coin or doesn't promote it, I don't take that as an assault on my identity that people don't like that I only talk about certain coins or only promote certain ideas or whatever. Like if people don't like it, I don't take that as an assault on like me or my identity. So hopefully, we can, it's like other people don't do that either, where it's not gatekeeping. It's like a prerogative. We live in a free world, right? Like everyone can talk about whatever they want. They don't have to, to whatever degree they see fit. So anyways, best ideals win. And one other thing I'll say on this too, the rule of 5 comes to mind when I think about decisions and stuff. So whether you like meme coins or not, whether you have your brand identity around them, or whether you have your brand identity or whatever you could say around the core coins, the rule of 5, how are you going to feel about this decision? Whatever decision you make, whether participate or not, go all in or not, 90-10 or not, 30-70 or not, in that way, how are you going to feel about the decision in 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, your future self? Like, are you be thanking you? Because I want to thank my future self. Like, I want my future self to thank me, and the best way I could do that is like keeping to all these core principles that I think are the most healthy ones. And again, I want everyone to win. I know everyone's not going to win. I want them to win. And I hope we have a lot of happy people at the end of the cycle for sure.
I think I was watching some of Sami's videos, and I remember him saying the 90% core, 10% lottery. And I just want to say, like, be careful, like, especially with everything you were saying, guys. Like, if you are participating in meme coins, and that is something like that interests you, the viewer watching the stream, just be very careful. Like, I think even 10% lottery is a lot. That's a lot to allocate into lottery tickets. Like, imagine you took 10% of your salary at work and you put it straight into the lottery. Like, it's kind of a lot of money just to dump straight into the lottery or whatever. So I don't necessarily think that, like, be very careful. Like, don't put, like, I'm gonna sell all my pulse, put it into this random token, and hopefully I can make it 2x. Like, things like this will seriously get you wrecked, and you'll get chopped up in these markets. Like, you'll lose 70% of your pulse, 60% of your pulse, maybe it's 20% of your pulse if you're maybe lucky, and you cut your losses maybe early, sort of thing. But definitely be very careful when it comes to the lottery tickets and stuff like this. I remember I was looking at Sami's video, and in the comments I was reading some of the people saying it's hard to keep these lottery tickets to 10% of my portfolio, to only 10% of my portfolio. So yeah, people, like, it's easy to, like, buy the new shiny object, right? Like, oh, look at this new shiny object, and then look at this new shiny object, and, like, they just keep on coming off the press, like, new shiny objects. But definitely focus your attention on the core tokens, because that's where all this value is coming from. Like, the meme, like, you're not gonna have a meme token like, unless PulseChain, like, does relatively okay. Because I think even if, like, at the very bottoms of PulseChain, like, you probably saw a lot of these meme coins struggle. Maybe not all of them. Like, you probably find me a chart and be like, hey, look at this coin that did very well while PulseChain was down. Like, that probably exists somewhere. But definitely just focusing on the core tokens is probably the most important thing you guys should do. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with like Sami's saying, like, throw in a couple lottery tickets. Like, it's okay to, like, get a couple lottery tickets here and there, but I do think, like, 10%, like, I'm just more conservative in that sense, where I think, like, 10% is kind of a lot to throw into lottery tickets. But
yeah, you could say 90 to 95%. That's kind of my mental model. It's like 90-95% core.
Yeah, and I think that's a good way of looking at it, and, like, just and keeping your conviction on the core coins like, fully maximalized. Like, you should have max conviction on those core 95% ecosystem tokens, and those 5%, like, if they go to zero, like, it shouldn't affect you. Like, it literally shouldn't affect you, because it was such a tiny portion of your portfolio, where, like, even if it does, like, get completely rugged, like, yeah, like, oh, I lost, like, 5%, 10% of my stack, or maybe it was only 2% of that 10%, or whatever it was, right? But either way, just be very careful. Like, you don't want to get chopped up, especially in PulseChain. Like, getting chopped up in dollars is one thing, but getting chopped up in your Pulse bag is a whole other concept, because we're no longer at 4 zeros and a 3. So if you want to accumulate, like, you're gonna have to pay the hundreds of dollars per million of PulseChain. So it looks like we're on that trajectory. So
yeah.
don't
get chopped up. Don't get chopped up. Yeah, I think that, and again, that's how I avoid such a thing. Like I literally, again, I don't tell people which coins to buy. I just present the case as objective as possible. And I mean, how many coins could survive? One sec.
You're all good.
How many coins could survive this? Like going down 99%, 98%, whatever it was. How many? What kind of ecosystem could survive that? Like most, if not all, like not all, but I'd say most could disappear in a week, in a day, if a bad events occurred or things happen like that over time. Like it'll just disappear. So Hex has like 20, 30, 40 community websites made for it. Not even counting PulseChain, PulseX Inc. If it went down 99% further tomorrow, I mean that's imaginary horrible. But if it did, you couldn't unwind all the community sites, all the products built upon it, all the sub communities building, supporting it. It'd take months or years to become irrelevant. Like fully.
And you would still disappear. Have people screaming it from their rooftops.
Yeah, and you would still have people. Nope, I'm still staked. I'm still staked for 5, 10, 15 years and stuff. So don't forget about the billionaires back in again. Shout out to the billionaires, the mega wells, the buy and bridge and stake for 15 years, God wells as well. And it's different and worth consistently supporting to me and thinking twice about with new coins versus new T-shares. Like I think I like I love new T-shares last year. I said before I made more stakes last year than I think I've ever made because I love those T-shares and I love locking it up and I don't mind to wait. But yeah, ultimately the choice is yours. I just don't want to. I don't want things to weaken the core. If they have positive feedback loops, if they promote healthy behavior, if they bring TVL in and onboard in a fun and interesting and a healthy way, I wish them the best. I want them to flourish. I want to make sure things don't weaken these guys. And we have enough splitting and buying pressure naturally from all this stuff to you can make a case for weakening that way. But I just want everything good and healthy. I want it to grow. And everything else, again, hopefully the best ideas win.
And I think sort of maybe the last thing I'll sort of end off with here is we were talking about how Richard wasn't streaming or isn't streaming anymore. But I think he's still communicating with us. And he's still telling us he's showing us his cards, his deck of cards. Like he knows what he's doing with the SAC addresses, or the duck or whoever it is. Whoever owns those particular addresses.
Shout out to Greg.
Greg the Duck. But I do think he's broadcasting it to the world, saying like, "Hey, look, like look at this money being bridged in. Look at this, look at that." When he was buying ETH, like he's broadcasting these things to the entire community, and he wants people to know. So he's not going on stream and he's not yelling it from the rooftops. But now he's just going on chain, and it seems like he's just broadcasting it on the blockchain instead of on YouTube. So I think he's still communicating with us, but it's just in a different manner, like on the blockchain now instead of on YouTube.
Freedom to transact. He still has freedom to transact. His lawyers have signed off on that, I think. Just to address the chat, somebody in the chat was talking about don't know much about T-shares or otherwise. If you go to gorealdefi.com, learn to earn, click on Hex. That will take you to Hex Scout, amazing website to walk you through like what is staking, what is Hex, how to buy, how to stake, all that stuff. And then also if you click on staking, so that one is to more of like to introduce you and get you into it if you're ready to make your stakes or buy Hex or otherwise. If you click on staking, this will give you all the different strategies, all the binge-worthy content. Coffee's got videos. I'll put Coffee's videos on here. Again, of course, I got a lot of videos from the channel. What is Hex? Hexologist, DCC's on here too. Just a lot of stuff to help you understand what are T-shares, how can they help you, are they right for you? Different ladders. I mean, ladders are key, I think, in a lot of ways too. I've got a lot of content on them. I did a recent stream, staking yield farming for passive income 13 days ago. So you got a couple recent ones on there as well, Maximus tokens and stuff too, about the different tokens that are built up on Hex and bonds and all the different stuff too. So if you're interested in staking, again, go gorealdefi.com, learn to earn, go down to staking. And of course, if you're interested in yield farming, click on farming, or security, click on security, validate, all that stuff too. Got a lot of stat sites. And again, just on the Hex stat sites, I don't know how many's on it. Let's see. Let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 times 4, what is that math whiz? 48. And then 48 and then take off, I don't know, 30%. Let's say there's 30 or some sites I have at least listed here that are relevant or related or provide data or stats, or I guarantee if you go to this site, you'll find something interesting you've never found before. I've came across so many different things I've never seen before. I'll drop it in the chat. But again, go to Real DeFi, click on stats, or go to bento.me, hex pulse info. I'll put this together maybe a month or so ago, but you will find something interesting you've never seen before that can help you understand hex or PulseChain better with this site. So highly recommend you check that out. Also, if you're looking for media kits, you can click on the drive. I don't forget who did this one. There's a couple ones floating around, but you can get the different hex logos. You can get the different, all the stuff used, make content, media. Now, a lot of people have been asking for that as well. I just wanted to put that out there. That is the last link, hex or PulseChain, PulseX hex media kit. The last link on the hex pulse info resource site. So check that out. And then, the last thing I want to cover for we end the stream. Amazing stream, Kong. Again, always love getting into the weeds with you, man. I think Hedron, this is one thing I was thinking about today. I'm like, man, I want to bring this up. Hedron V2, Icosa Hedron V2, I guess properly. I think it'll be a huge catalyst this year for Hex, and one of the most important things going forward. I really do. Like incentivizing 5555, giving people more fun, healthy games to play, quality DeFi products, building smart things on top of smart things designed to win. Dude, that sounds like more winning to me. And how excited are you for Hedron V2?
I'm excited. I'm getting ready for Hedron V2. I know recently the Hedron and Cosa tokens sort of taken a little hit with the rest of the ecosystems, but I think this is I guess this is your chance to DCA. Like anyone who's looking at the chart sort of rip after the after I guess Sami talked
The
about
Somi
it a
effect.
little bit. Yeah, the Sami effect. After the chart ripped a little, like now would be a great time to DCA. Even I think he still talked about how he wants to keep the interoperable plays between some of the different Icosas and stuff like this. So even if I'm not exactly sure if picking up the Icosa on Ethereum itself is the best play and bridging it over. But if you pick up whichever Icosa over on the PulseChain and you're getting prepared for launch, you can see there's a heavy 65-70% retrace right there on the chart. So I mean it's come back into value a little bit. And yeah. I wonder what happened on
but check that
day,
out.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that what was it, March 10th? Yeah, what happened on March 10th? We got 2 dates. We got 2 infamous dates in Hex and PulseChain history this year. January 6th, we're taking it back. That is Pumpamentals Day. January 6th, when the buying started happening from Megawell. And you could just see that on the chart. Maybe not this chart, but other charts. And then March 10th, when Richard said he liked PulseChain better. Heart goes out to everyone who
the market decided, Max.
Sorry.
Richard never said it.
Richard said the market decided, and everyone, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, the way I interpret it, again, just to be clear to everyone, again, heart goes out to everyone who onboarded through EHEX and followed it and saw the on paper price go down. Hopefully, it goes up in the future. There's a lot of ways that could happen too. Doesn't look dead to me. I haven't heard anyone call it dead. It's got market maker stuff too. But what I interpreted as was, hey, you guys do whatever you want. Market the pricing, the ratios, all that stuff has led me to believe the market is valuing one more than the other, and I think PulseChain's better. And I don't like Ethereum Hex anymore. I just don't want to support things on Ethereum. Hex is fine, but just I want everyone to use it on PulseChain. That's the way I interpreted it. But it's simple, but then I had a lot of complicated nuance with builders, with people who've been onboarded, for people who just made bets in that direction. So there's a lot to it. And again, I hope everyone out there is doing as best they can with dealing with it in their own personal situation and stuff. But for me, again, if I were to have EHEX ladders, I wouldn't think anyone would assume it would be a huge portion of a portfolio. If there's 5 coins out there, if there's 5 core coins, or you can say 4 now, 4.5, whatever, 4 or 5 core coins.
4.5.
Yeah. However people value them. They could be 4 in some people. They could be 5 to some people too. But I wouldn't think that me or anyone else were 80% EHEX, for example. I think it would be probably more likely a lot more distributed. And guess unless you're new and you're on board and you only bought EHEX and again, that's, you go back to judgment, and you know, I know ignorance plays a part into it too, and people onboard you, and there's a lot of things that go into it. But just in general, for most people, I don't believe that was the biggest part of their portfolio. Yeah, it was some of it, but I think there's ways around it. Again, hopefully they go up together. Richard mentioned maybe it'll go up with it too. A lot to be excited about. I think that's something that's just, you know, hopefully we can move past that and everyone just be you know, on team win real hard again, I would say.
Yeah, and I did see Alex say he was gonna rethink his project a little bit more and maybe create some more ideas for it. So I'm still excited. I actually like I don't. It's not that I trust Alex, but I just know he's gonna put out a good product no matter what it is. I have very good conviction in Hedron Icosa, and I don't think Hedron and Icosa version 2 would be any different.
I
Especially,
trust
I think
Alex.
it'll be,
I,
yeah, it'll
I, I have
be.
no problem trusting the code and trusting the founder. I think I think there's merit to both of those ideas. You know, of course, I want to trust the code more than anything else, but the founder, I trust Alex. I trust Maximus guys when they're building products and stuff, and Richard, of course, those are the top three, and you know, in different ratios.
And Alex he's like the closest version of Richard Hart without actually getting to Richard Hart. At least how I sort of look at it is he fits all those ideas, he fits all those values, and he understands them all. He's also a developer, so he's able to sort of code things and envision it for himself, sort of how he sees fit and stuff
If
like
Richard
this.
was a
But
dev, if Richard
if
was a
Richard
dev,
was a dev, that's a
and
good
you
way
know,
of putting it.
it's like, and it's not taking anything away from, you know, Richard, like is world class at some of the other things, but Alex really is like, he is like the guy with ideals and a dev too. It's pretty amazing. Like, do not, yeah, I don't see anyone shorting Alex McWhorter.
Yeah, so yeah, I think it'll be exciting. It'll be probably some sort of catalyst to sort of rejuice the ecosystem, and I'm actually excited to see what he has to bring, and sort of how he incorporates ehex, phex, eicosa, picosa into the one icosahedron protocol. Um, some whales started to accumulate icosa on December 23rd to begin the pumpening. J6 was
January 6th.
January 6th was the rest of our ecosystem.
Interesting nuance,
So
Paul.
some whale. That is, yeah, that is. So it looks like people were accumulating the bottoms, and I think that's what we're probably gonna see happen right now too. Is you're probably gonna have some people slowly start to accumulate because you almost want to purchase when no one's paying attention to these tokens. Everyone's sort of talking about meme coins right now. It seems like if you open up Twitter, like it's just a bunch of memes for meme tokens everywhere. So maybe like icosahedron it's like the sleeping giant in the sense where like no one's paying attention to, but once Alex drops that V2, like all the eyes and ears are gonna be on icosahedron. So um, yeah, I'm excited. I think like if you were looking to DCA, like not financial advice or anything, but like the price has retraced, so like now is like a good time to start like potentially packing your bags. And like Paul was saying, like there's been whales accumulating since last year and early this year. So I mean, there you go.
Very, very exciting, man. Very well. Last word on ETH two and the effects it could have on PulseChain this year, negative or positive. What do you think? How do you think this thing's going to play out? Just tying the bow on ETF and the FUD and stuff going on.
So one thing with the FUD is I never really pay attention to it. Like I think FUD just naturally solves itself to be not FUD anymore. So I think whatever happens happens. I do think the ETF for Ethereum will come out, and I think it won't be. I think it won't be classified as a security. Again, like I don't know for a fact whether it will or not. Like not a legal expert or anything like this, but if I had to guess one way or another, maybe it's a little bit biased, but just sort of how I'm looking at it and how so looking at that tweet we were looking at earlier. Forget the name, but the .eth guy, the Coinbase chief
Chief legal
of
officer.
litigation. Yeah. So yeah, looking at his tweet, like that makes me very bullish on the sort of the Ethereum ecosystem and maybe that precedent that gets set for Ethereum. And we'll see how that plays out for PulseChain as well, and vice versa. And we'll see how like yeah, PulseChain plays out for ETH. But yeah, it's sort of like tie the bow on it. I think 100% we'll get an Ethereum ETF. Again, like nothing's 100% for certain, but I do think there's pretty good odds for the the ETH ETF. We'll see what happens in terms of it being called security. But I do think after seeing those tweets from the Coinbase officer, like probably not. And yeah, we'll see what happens with PulseChain as well. But yeah, definitely make sure to go to pulsepetition.org, and I would definitely sign it and get your friends and family too as well, because that's one way we could all contribute to the ecosystem, right?
Yeah, if your friends and family are banging you over the head for getting them into that loser sack phase,
Yeah, just send
then
them
you
one
can be
more
like,
thing. Be like,
hey,
hey,
yeah. Guess who was taking the hammer to her heads last August? That was these over regulation by enforcement guys who were going to take some more L's if we all just sign this thing and tell them how they're costing us money. So yeah, friends and family are welcome if they're, of course, they're affected and all that stuff too. And yeah, the more the better. And yeah, I think we certainly hope the judge looks at it, sees that people who are in power are not serving the people, and the people over here trying to fight for freedom are doing the right thing and just trying to be the best version of themselves and trying to maybe get a Lambo, maybe lease a Lambo every once in a while. Have a little bit of fun. Yeah, win Lambo. We don't delay the Lambo, okay, devs, don't delay the Lambo. Maybe they'll be up to sign it, and we'll get some more signatures there. Certainly hope so. Crypto Kong. We went over time a little bit. Sorry about that, but I kind of lost track of it. We're having such a good conversation, man.
No, it was good. Awesome stream. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you? Where can people find out more about your stuff? And yeah, what do you want to take us out on?
Yeah, I'll take us out on awesome stream. Thank you for having me, Max. If you guys want to find me, I'm on Twitter at CryptoKong145. You can sort of see it like right here. And same thing as the YouTube handle, just at CryptoKong145. Yeah, same handle all around. Probably gonna start to switch this to my Pulse domain soon, just CryptoKong.pls. Probably gonna update that as well with the whole website and stuff like that. So yeah, probably gonna start pushing out my Pulse domains. But yeah, if you're looking at where to find me, it's right here, CryptoKong145, just pretty much on all platforms. So yeah, that's all for me, I want to say.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Everyone in the comments, everyone watching, appreciate you all. Again, very, very exciting year we've had so far, and apparently more to come. We could speculate on at least, and we see data's looking good, chain's looking good, founders looking real good, real confident right now. Very excited, and yeah, hopefully you'll come back and join us again and check out Crypto Kong's channel and his Twitter as well, and a lot of the good data sources we have in the community. So everyone, that's all we got for you today. Scivive and 5555. We are out.